The ternary or conditional operator takes a condition and returns one of two outcomes based on whether the condition evaluates to true or false. So let's look at an example where we check if the battery level is greater than 20. So my variable here, battery level, I've set it to 30, and then this is our ternary operator. So first we have the condition battery level. If battery level is more than 20, then the ternary operator is represented by a question mark. And then finally we have two outcomes. So we have for true. So if battery level is more than 20, continue exploration. If it's less than 20, we'll return the second option, which is return to base for charging. To compare this to something you may be familiar with, let's convert this into an if-else statement. So the first thing we need to do here, as you can see, we would normally have a if statement here saying if battery level is more than 20. So let's do that. So next we need to decide if true, we're going to set rover status to continue exploration, and then else, so our false option, rover status will equal return to base for charging. As you can see, the if-else statement requires more lines of code, whereas a ternary operator achieves the same result in just a single line. There's other ways we can extend our use of the ternary operator. We can use it inside of a function. So let's take a look at an example of this. So first, just like we did above, we'll start with our function, and we'll have this one to be check fuel, and then we'll add in the value of fuel when we call the function. Next, instead of doing a section for if it's true and then an else section for if it's false, we're going to use the ternary operator to achieve this in one line. So we're going to say return, and then if fuel is more than 50, we're going to do enough fuel to launch. But if fuel is less than 50, our string will be refuel needed. Now, as you can see from the example above, we'd normally have to add extra code to have both true and false options. But with the ternary operator, inside the function, we can add this just in one neat line. Makes the code more concise and easier to read. So let's log these to the console and have a look at our results. So we've got two examples here. We got one with check fuel and the value of fuel being 60, and then the second one, check fuel, the value is 30. So we should have true for the first one and false for the second. So for our first one, we have enough fuel to launch, which is correct. And then for the second one, we have refuel needed because the value is less than 50. So there's a very neat way of writing this function. Now, we've had a ternary operator inside of a function, but what about a ternary operator inside another ternary operator? Or let's have a look at what that would look like. This one's going to be based on greetings, so we want to know if we're saying good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. So we need a few different things to check here. So we're going to have our variable hour set to 14 for this example, and then we're going to have a ternary operator follow our greeting variable. So for our first option, we're going to say if hour is less than 12, we want to greet and say good morning. And then instead of just adding our false option onto this, we're going to add another condition. So we're going to say if hour is less than 18, and it will automatically do if hour is more than 12 as well, otherwise it would be good morning. So if hour is more than 12 and hour is less than 18, we're going to say good afternoon. So unlike above, instead of having another condition, because the only other thing we have left is good evening, we're just going to add a false option on here as well. If it's less than 6 o'clock, it's going to be good afternoon, and if it's more than 6 o'clock, our answer is going to be good evening. So we successfully have chained together a ternary operator onto another ternary operator. So let's just have a look in the console. So we should have good afternoon in the console because our hour is set to 14. So if we just check down below, and there we are, good afternoon. We'll just do one more check just to make sure. We'll do the hour is 19, so we want good evening. That's fantastic. So this is our ternary operator inside of another ternary operator, also known as chaining. So these are all our ternary operators that we've covered. They're powerful shortcuts for writing concise conditional logic. So we've gone through the basics of how they work. We've compared it to an if statement. We've had a look at using a ternary operator inside of a function. And we've also had a look at chaining multiple ternary operators together for complex conditions. Now you're a ternary operator pro, my job here is done. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!